For the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
But roll call show all are present. Verification of proper public notice.
The meeting was properly posted and noticed.
Okay, public comment on any item not on the agenda. If not, you've all had a chance to review the minutes from the August 20th meeting. Are there any changes or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, the August 20th meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes from the August 20th town board meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I see Bruce isn't here. We'll move on to the clerk treasurer's report.
I just have a real quick one. Two very small changes that I've made in the past month or so. There was a drop box that you'll see in the hallway here outside the Oakland Sanitary District door. We were getting a lot of either mail or in the drop box here, and just kind of sliding it under the door for April. And so I think I spent $20-25, got a drop box for people. We also have some older folks who come in and it's tough for them to bend down and put it under the door. So that's been very successful.
That's great.
Very successful and highly used, I can attest to that. And then I also, for those of you who have been in the office in the past month or so, there was a pile of keys sitting on my desk, which is finally gone. We invested another $20 for a key box for all the keys that we have in the clerk treasurer's office. Everything's labeled, it's all in the vault. Fortunately, I'll share a very brief, hilarious story. I locked myself out of the vault on Friday because I put the extra keys in there and forgot I didn't have one out in the office for me to open it with.
You ripped it off the wall, did you?
I didn't rip it off the wall, but that leads me to say that Bruce has backups of every key possible. Yes. So when he came in, he
Bailed you out.
He bailed me out in a matter of speaking. But
Hard to believe the police chief would bail you out.
it's hard to believe, but yeah, it's in the vault. If you want to see it, it's great. But everything's organized. We have plenty of keys, and everything is accounted for. So it's nice to have the nice pile of keys off my desk. That's all I got.
Okay, next item is discussion and possible action regarding a new copier lease. The lease we presently have is running out, correct?
Actually, I guess I had a little bit more.
Yeah.
It has run out. We are currently on a month-to-month lease with Gordon Flesh. I had a meeting with Steve, and what he did, there's 3 sheets in your packet. The top sheet that has $189.77 on it is an average of 12 months, what we've done. And the difference that you'll see between this top sheet and both of the bottom sheets is that our current contract does not include any color copies. We don't do a lot, but whatever we do currently, we pay extra for because they're not included. So we talked about it a little bit, and he gave me 2 contracts for 2 virtually identical machines. The more expensive one is faster. The less expensive one is slower, but it's about the same speed as the machine that we have. I just wanted to throw both of them in front of you. They're both Canons. They both have the same functionalities. I'm fine with either. If you want to spend more money, that's fine because it would still be saving money, but I'm totally comfortable with the cheaper option, and if you have any questions.
You said monthly?
Yes.
Yes.
187 versus 170?
Yep.
So, and this includes color copies?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So what we did is, if you look on the first page, he took the average, and we average about 818 black and white sheets, but we were allowed 2,000. So he dropped that number to, I think it was to 1,000 for each. Gave us some color copies, and I can ask him to increase that back to 1,500, but I don't see why it would be necessary, and if we were to go over, printing in black is a lot cheaper than printing in color. So
We don't really print that much or color.
we don't. I mean, you're looking. I mean, agendas I do just The agendas for here I do, the postings I do, but I don't have a lot of need for color, but it's nice to have some in case it's there because color is expensive.
So, Chris, the other day we discussed getting rid of the fax line.
Mm-hmm.
So our current machine has fax capability.
Mm-hmm.
What about this?
It also does. It's not something that they're getting rid of yet.
Okay.
So I would still opt for, and I was going to bring this up during budget, but I guess it's part of it too, but I would opt for still getting rid of the fax line, but it's not anything that they can remove from the machine.
So it wouldn't save us the, okay.
The only added feature that I'll tell you that it doesn't take a lot to get me excited, but this, whatever machine we go with, will have the ability to staple, and I'm very excited about that.
And both of them have that capability,
Yes,
collate and staple.
yes, I'm
Most
very
do.
excited about that.
Most do.
This one doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when I put your packets together, everything that's stapled, I'm doing by hand, and not that I can't do it, but it's
There's
going
the
to save me a
time
lot of time, and we don't have to pay extra for it. So
So
But-
one's just literally faster in time?
literally, they're almost exactly the same machine. They're both made by Canon. Same functionality as what we've got on the Lexmark right now. I don't see a reason to spend more money just to spend it. So I mean, I'm totally comfortable with the 170.
I would move that we execute the $170 a month contract. Is this 12-month, 24-month, what is it?
I think it's 36.
36
Yeah,
months,
I think it's
believe.
36.
3 years?
Mm-hmm. And it would be the same kind of,
That's what the old one was
Yeah.
a 36 month.
But right now, we're paying $189.77 a month,
yep,
Yes.
so both of them are cheaper than what we're
Yes.
paying now.
yes.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to approve the new copier with a lease payment of $170.72 a month. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. I see we had a guest show up. You're the late guest, but we'll open back up to public comment because I think you got a little report you want to give on the solar farm.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. My name is Jeff Rao. I represent Ranger Power, and I apologize for getting here a couple minutes late. Appreciate the opportunity to just share information with the board and with the attendees. The Public Service Commission has received our application for our Badger State Solar Facility, which is partially proposed in the town of Oakland and partially in the town of Jefferson. They have reviewed the application and found it to be complete, and they have set the schedule for their review of our proposal. That process includes a public hearing scheduled for November 6th at 2 in the afternoon and again at 6 p.m. They have yet to set a location, or at least had not last time I looked. So more to come on that, but just wanted to keep the board abreast of the developments in that project. We continue to look for opportunities to work with our neighbors, make sure that they are comfortable with the project, and that process continues. We held an open house back in March. The Public Service Commission held a scoping meeting over the summer, and really the next significant public event is a public hearing scheduled for November 6th. That's really the nuts and bolts of the update. Happy to take any questions and happy to be available after the meeting if anybody either attending or on the board cares to discuss.
I had a couple of people ask me several questions. One was, what was the total acreage that you had in the original proposal?
The application that we put forward includes 3 different areas. One we've designated as primary area, and that's the area where we have proposed to put panels, and that's a little over 1,000 acres, maybe about 1,100. I don't have the exact number with me. Then we have an alternate area, and the state requires us to have land that they can evaluate, and if they choose, we have to be able to accommodate a resiting of up to 25% of the generating capacity. So that's an alternate area. And we have some additional land, which we also submitted in the application, which we have identified as an optional area. Neither the alternate nor the optional is in the town of Oakland, but the primary area includes our land that we have under lease in the town of Oakland. If you add all of those together, we've got about 1,750 acres under contract for the project, some of which we anticipate releasing as the project goes forward.
And will the end project possibly be more than 1,000 acres?
Slightly more, you know, I anticipate 1,100-ish to
Okay.
1,200, but the end project is not likely to grow in megawatts. It's not going to grow in size. We have a discrete application for an interconnection with the transmission system,
Okay.
and we cannot exceed that number. There can certainly be a subsequent project, either proposed by Ranger Power or even by other companies. But for this project, it is a very discrete quantity. And our contract to provide power to Darrell and Power Cooperative is also for that discrete amount.
Okay. And how much of that is in the town of Oakland? How many acres of that is in the town of Oakland? Do you remember that?
Can I do a little calculation? And I should know that, but I'd like to just take a look.
Okay.
And I'll let you know before I leave.
Okay.
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I should. It's a good question. So I apologize.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
What pushback are you hearing, if any?
I would say first that I think we've been very warmly welcomed by the community. Those who have concerns about a couple of areas. If they have a residential property in particular, they want to make sure that by having solar panels adjacent to their property rather than row crops or whatever has been the case, that it's not going to affect their property values. That's an area that we've studied and that other solar facilities like ours have also taken a look at. And consistently, the data suggests there really is no connection. Despite the change in use, the property values do not suffer from being next door to a solar facility. It certainly will be a part of what the Public Service Commission looks at as well, and it's part of what we're discussing with neighboring landowners. And there are things that we can do to help soften the view and the look from those properties, and we continue to work on that. That's one significant issue. Generally, there's also an interest in how the process works, and there's some concern, wait a second, if I'm adjacent, am I going to get the sun shining off of these panels like mirrors coming at my eyes? And the design of these facilities really helps mitigate any sort of glare, and it's an issue that we've also studied closely and will be a big part of the Public Service Commission review as well. The design of the panels is such that they stop rotating to follow the sun as the sun sinks low in the western horizon. That way? That way,
This way.
sorry. I
Yeah,
pressed it
this
wrong. Sorry. As the sun sinks low, the panels, instead of following it to vertical, which then might create an opportunity for reflection to go straight back, it stops at 30 degrees, and so as the sun continues to sink down, any reflection actually goes up rather than creating an issue for neighbors. So it's part of the way the system is designed. The other thing that helps really mitigate is the fact that those panels follow the sun all day. Keeps you from getting those glancing angles of reflection. So,
Are these individual parcels where the panels are located, are they fenced?
They will be fenced,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, we're required to fence the electrical generating facility. It's a National Electric Code requirement for safety. So the fence that we've proposed will be 8 feet high, which keeps us from having to put barbed wire on the top. Makes it blend into the environment a little bit better, in our view at least. And it will essentially be deer fence, wooden posts with a woven wire fencing on the posts.
Okay. And what do you do to maintain the property inside of that parcel?
The area will be planted in prairie grasses and pollinators is what we're looking at. We'll pick grasses that don't grow too tall and don't require a lot of regular maintenance, but probably on the order of a couple of times a year, we'll look to mow the acreage inside the fence. And we're also open to the idea of evaluating opportunities for grazing, but it's not clear that that's going to make sense on a broad scale for a facility of this size.
Probably have to be small animals.
Right, yeah, and certainly not goats that like to chew and jump and,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I didn't even think about that.
Work on their can.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for Jeff?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Great,
Jeff.
thank you very
Appreciate
much, I
coming.
appreciate it. As I said, I'll stay around and get an answer for you before I go
Okay,
on the
thank you.
acreage in town of Oakland.
Okay.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, road supervisors report.
Good evening. How are we doing tonight?
We're great,
Good.
Uh-oh, I wonder what he's
Yeah,
looking
he
at.
wants-
I don't like it when you smile like that.
No,
wants
I'm
something.
finishing up some of the bigger projects, getting ready for the season change. Currently, we're mowing our ditches, going pretty good according to schedule. So far, no breakdowns. Last year was not good.
No,
That's about it.
We started on Shepherd and Mark.
Payne and Dolan, they came in today and ground all the joints, the butt joints in the driveways and the joining road. They were thinking maybe they might be able to come in later this afternoon, but definitely tomorrow. And then when they're done with there, they're gonna go to Marsh. The seal coating was done last week in between rain showers. That seems to look pretty good job.
that's all done?
Yes, we went with the granite again.
Yeah.
That's a little bit harder. The only thing that's harder on is the plow blades, but it doesn't wear down as much as the chip seal, so should get a longer lasting road.
Is that more expensive than the chip
No.
seal? No, same?
Actually, a little bit cheaper.
Really?
Yeah, because it's they get spoils out of the pit
Oh, okay.
because they get it out of Waterloo's pit, out of Michael's pit.
Okay.
Is Marsh Road flooded?
No,
Oh.
just built up and waiting for the blacktop.
The water wasn't as high on there as I thought it might be. I drove through there the other
Yeah.
day thinking it'd be
Yeah.
up,
Close,
but
yeah.
it's not as high as I thought it would be.
Yeah, let's hope it never gets that high again.
Yeah, exactly.
If it floods that now, oh geez,
Yeah.
we have a lot more issues.
When are they gonna start the work on, not Poplar, but Wolf? The ditching work?
He's looking at end of
November.
October,
End of
beginning of
October.
End
November.
of October is what he original.
Yep.
Uh,
He's still
The
sticking
only
with
thing
it.
that would push that ahead would be if he had really good
Right.
weather, that he might be able to move it ahead a day or
Yes.
week or whatever, but,
And before winter gets here, I'll have all the holding areas on Ripley's culverts, they'll be pumped out.
Good.
So if any settlement in there, they'll be gone.
okay. As long as you're up, let's move on to item 9, and that's discussion and possible action to repair the public works shop floor.
I am running into a brick wall. I call these contractors. They say their estimator will call me. They don't. The ones that do give me an answer saying they're too busy, they're not gonna bid any more work. So my suggestion is they make them big metal, thick plates. You could drive big trucks over them when they do road work. We'll get a section, maybe I can borrow a section for somebody over. We put it there over the winter, and then in springtime, we start this process all over again. That way we're not hitting on a time frame.
What happened?
For those that don't know what that's all about, we got a portion of the shop floor actually goes over both bays where the big trucks go in and out. That's breaking up. And it's definitely a base problem.
Yeah,
Jeff has checked with the original contractor, the building, and not getting anywhere there. They don't really want to talk to you, but
and there's a 3-by-3-foot section that's actually settled down about 3 inches.
yeah. What I'm afraid of is if we don't do something with that now, we've got heat in the floor there. We've got in-floor heat.
Yeah.
We start breaking those tubes, then we're going to have some serious problems. Not only in heating the garage, but
Right.
other things. So that's why I was putting the heat on Jeff to get us some numbers for this fall before, because when you back a truck in there loaded with salt, there's a lot of weight there.
Oh, yeah.
But you can back an empty truck in there now and see this floor doing this when you're backing in. So, I mean, this base is in tough shape. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
So, and maybe that's a good suggestion, at least in the east bay,
Yeah.
because that's the worst.
And if we do rupture a line, hopefully it's not too long of a line, because there is shut-off valves.
How many shutoffs are in that floor, do you remember?
9 supply and 9 return.
9.
So total of 18 shut-offs, but
But if you break one, it's gonna be the one out by the big doors, and that's the last one you wanna break.
yep.
Yeah, if you can't get somebody
Oh,
to,
I'm still working on it, because I know when
Yeah.
budget time is, you guys have a special, sometimes have a special meeting. I'm hoping to get something lined up by then. The floor heating Kleckers that did it originally, he said he could fit us in middle October. I don't see that happening, as getting a contractor there in time to do the concrete. But he figured a couple $1,000 that would take care of that.
the
That's-
heating part,
Yep. And that'd be new insulation, new
yeah.
pipes, the hookups.
The biggest problem is, when you cut it off, you're cutting the tubes off right at that line. Now you gotta back this up.
Mhm.
Each one of those lines gotta be backed up 6-8 inches in order to get a connection on it.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of labor involved in doing all that.
Yeah, it looked like a jigsaw puzzle when we're
Yeah.
done.
Well, I guess if you,
I mean, that's the
if you can't
last
get anybody
option.
to do it, I think the big steel plating, the stuff that the DOT uses,
Yep.
that's 3/4 inch stuff. I think they're 8-foot sheet, 4x8 sheets, I
Yeah.
believe. If you can get some of them, at least we can protect that part that's
Yes.
really bad.
So when a truck's running over, it's
Yeah,
not at that right spot. in the-
Distribute the load a little
Yeah.
bit.
right.
Yeah.
I know the county has some. I don't imagine they'd use them over the winter, so maybe we can borrow one. I don't know. That's the last option.
You want me to mention it to Brian tomorrow? I gotta be over at the county all day tomorrow.
Sure.
I'll break the ice for you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
you got funding meeting all day, huh?
Yeah, well, and then Badger Power in the afternoon.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Jeff? Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, next item, discussion and possible action regarding the house located at N4045 County Road A. Ted, you want to tell us what we did yesterday?
Well, it's kind of and you may all not have realized it, but yesterday was the 3rd anniversary of the issuance of the raise and repair order. So we're 1,000 65, well, today, 1,066 days into this. We did a quick walkthrough. Thanks, Nicole and Juanita for showing up. It's always hard to assess what's going on just as we drive by, so it was nice to be able to walk through. We are behind the agreement that we had. There have been, based on some information from Nicole, that you can't get or can't afford to have a dumpster. And it's taken a while to get some of the things done as far as water and inspection and stuff. So we're behind on the 20 August meeting. We're behind here. I'm a little disappointed, and I know that some of the stuff was cleaned up, but if you couldn't get the dumpster, you pay for garbage. We had 7 garbage pickups from the time of our last inspection till yesterday, and there have only been garbage cans out twice.
But we also have a bulk pickup too.
Well, and that's, yeah, the other thing is, you could have been utilizing the bulk pickup. You'd have to call Badge Land and work that out, but that's included in the rate. So I think the overall impression that both Gene and I left with is, yes, some things have happened, but boy, we're a long way to go, and this is starting to seem like a Cecil B. DeMille picture, cast of thousands and years in the making. I'm fairly frustrated that this is just going on. So that's my comment. I don't, Nicole, if you want to.
Sure, I can speak to that. As I did explain to the clerk in an email, the property owners have struggled financially this month. The water is now functioning. However, there were more leaks than anticipated, which did raise their expenses. That being said, they are in the process now of having the water tested, so I am hopeful that by the next month's meeting, I'll be able to give you an assessment on that. The septic, they have an appointment to have that inspected on October 1st, so that'll be another that hopefully by next month I should have an update, which would then give us, hopefully, provided septic is ready to go, electric, water, and septic, which would be a major improvement. My clients have been removing refuse and taking that to the dump, as I understand it, and that's how they've been moving away some of that, the items inside the property that needed to go and be disposed of.
There's still,
And why would you be doing that? Why? I mean, we got bulk pickup. We got
Once a month.
garbage
I
pick.
didn't know about bulk pickup.
Well, you
We
get
never
this,
received any papers or anything when they dropped the garbage cans off, so we had no idea about bulk pickup.
bulk pickup is once a month and should be on the sheets that
Yeah.
you receive with the calendar.
I never received a calendar even.
all of those things were mailed to every resident
Back in December.
back in December.
we
And
can
they're
get
also on
them
our
a
website
copy.
too.
And they're available, you can get copies, you
I
still have
didn't know
copies
anything
available.
about it, so.
So now you can pull
Now I
that from
do.
the website.
I think the next one is October 12th, because
Okay.
we've got something going out.
Thank you. That would have, I wish somebody would have said that months ago.
Just call
Well, but
Badgerland.
we haven't even seen garbage cans out. I mean, for Pete's sakes, that's free. You're paying for garbage.
Sent it out.
2
Only
weeks, the
twice.
last 2 weeks they've been out. They haven't been out before that, since July. Because we check it. There's not many days that I don't drive by the residents to see what's going on out there. Because the calls still keep coming.
Yeah, I am frustrated because I just don't see us, staying any kind of schedule. And, yeah, if I lived next door, I would be really unhappy. I mean, I remember talking to the man in December when we were in the process of going further on this, and he was delighted that we were going to raise it. And I don't, how do we make this better, Nicole? You said that you could work with and move things along, and we send you agreements and you guys sign them, and, you know, it's like at a snail's pace.
You know, I certainly understand the board's frustration with the speed of the progress, but, you know, I'm going to kind of go back to, you know, we are over 1,000 days in. The progress certainly in the last 4 to 5 months has been a major step forward. The property owners did have a rough month financially, and so we would ask for, you know, that kind of continued support from the board to allow us to continue to move forward and make those changes and keep working.
Is the intent to move in the residents?
Eventually, yes. I believe that the property owners, in my conversation with them and kind of some practicalities, it may not be as quickly as they intend. They know that we have to have water, septic, you know, and it has to be in a livable condition. So I've been kind of trying to wrangle a little. It may not be, it may be in the winter instead of fall, as I think their initial intent was. But they are, you know, as I understand, they're there every day, working inside the property, and so they're making those attempts to move in as soon as possible. Frankly, once they're in the property, that does make the money go a little farther, and they should have more resources to put toward the improvements, and so it's kind of a catch-22 for them at this point. They have to pay to live somewhere else and put put resources into the repairs.
I don't know, it is so frustrating. I mean, the story we got in July was they intended to move in this fall. The progress that I saw last night in the 2 months since that meeting in July isn't much. I mean, the work that Gary did on plumbing, I understand that takes some time. I did remodeling for 20 years. The work that I saw done there, I would have done in a day. I mean, it's not something that takes 2 months to do. I mean, it just, I'm not sure what to tell you. I know you spend a bunch of money out there. I'm ready to call the bulldozer.
Well, we certainly would ask that the board not call the bulldozer and continue to give the property owners some additional time to meet those goals set by the board.
Well, we got agreements that are signed.
That's correct.
We got a bill to them for legal fees that's now 60 days old. We haven't seen any way of making payment toward that.
Could I have a copy of that? That was not forwarded to my office. I would appreciate it.
I can email it to you, yeah.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I can tomorrow.
So I don't have my contract with me. What was it? They didn't get the dumpster?
Well, if you go back to what was supposed to be done by August, the electric service was connected, the well and the pump are working, but hasn't been tested yet, so we're not wild about them using the water. We ask for the septic system to be inspected and maintained to make sure that, okay, if we turn on water, we don't create a problem on the other end going out. And that's now, Gary, did you have a HVAC inspection? I don't remember. Not yet. Okay, that was another thing, and then continue cleanup outside, inside. That was all due by last month. This month, we asked them to get a dumpster, required clean out the inside, all the debris, and that, not just the house, but the garage, the outbuildings, get everything so that, you know, somebody driving by can obviously say, yeah, they've really done stuff. And so that's where we're at, and then by next month, We're looking at, and this is, the more they're in there, smoke detectors installed, CO2 if they turn on some kind of heat. If they're going to continue work, we said you've got to have some kind of heating system, and we'd like to see that approved by the building inspector. And if they're going to continue in there, have a working bathroom consisting minimum sink, toilet, bathtub, working order. And Gary's done more stuff in the bathroom. Some of that he has gotten done, but it's not complete yet. So that's where where we're expecting to be next week or next month.
Do
I
you
don't know.
plan on getting a dumpster, or how do you plan on doing the
I
cleanup?
think the money for the dumpster would be better spent
Exactly.
inside the house at this point.
It's a minimum of $400 for a dumpster. I have called everywhere.
Well, we have bulk pickup, and they'll take whatever goes out there if you call them and tell them. I mean, you can put a lot on the road over there.
Well, no,
Well, they
that's not
take one
necessarily true.
item.
It's one
No.
item and per pickup.
Yeah, it's not a big, it's
It's
not a
not-
big pile of stuff.
It's not a big pile. You have to call specifically.
It's like if you have a couch, they'll pick up the couch and only the couch, in addition to your trash.
But if you,
But you can fill your trash.
Right,
Right.
and I have
Right.
been.
if you have a couch and,
I don't have any couches.
Well,
Or-
the mattresses, you could call, and I'll bet if you said we're putting a mattress in Box Spring,
Right.
I bet they would pick it
they'll
up.
take that.
Yeah.
But again, you have to do that. The bulk pickup is, I believe, the second
the
Monday of
next
the
one's
month.
October 12th, because they told us we didn't get the couch out that we had meant to get out last month, so they said we can put it out this month, plus we have a microwave we want to take out, and they'll take both of those things, just as a courtesy to us, because we didn't make it last time. So if they'll work with you,
Okay.
just have to call them and talk to them.
And they don't charge you any extra for that either. That's
Right.
included with,
Well, I was wondering if we could get an extra trash can and pay the extra for that, you know.
you can call me and I can arrange that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, those things hold a lot.
Yeah, they do, I know. 5 to 6 garbage bags. I know exactly how much they hold.
Okay, anything else?
Well, I think I'm speaking on my own, not having discussed this with my client. Part of the struggle is at this point, they've signed the agreement. And if we don't adjust the agreement, they can do the last 2 months. We're probably going to have the same conversation next month because that's just a lot to get done. So I would consider, or at least suggest to the board, I'm going to have them continue to work through the list, and I'm confident that they'll make progress, but kind of just to flag for that, if they get last month's done and that's where they focus their energy for this month, we are going to be in the same position next month with them being a month behind. So just for your consideration.
Well, right now, we're in the middle of September. I would say that probably the most critical thing to do, it isn't like you can have an HVAC inspection tomorrow and the day after they're out there replacing your furnace. You might be 60 days out on getting a furnace put in there.
So we should get that scheduled.
You better get that done, otherwise
Well,
you're gonna be
Or some kind of heating system.
in a
that-
heating system of some sort. I mean,
We were flexible in that when we wrote the agreement, we said you can do a temporary, but we're not talking just any old space heater thrown in. We're
Right.
talking something construction grade that is safe and, to assist that. But yeah, that becomes a real issue. You got the water turned back on and good, now it's gonna get cold, so.
And I'll just, I'm just gonna pipe in just for a minute because not only am I the clerk, but I'm also the treasurer, so I pay attention to the money. I'll email you tomorrow the bills, but I'm just gonna warn you, it's just shy of $3,000. What my concern is that we don't get, and I understand that money is tight, but I don't wanna get a $50 payment every month. I would prefer something more substantial. And that is all the bills up until this year, so that does not include everything this year. I haven't even gotten those from the attorney yet, so I don't want to pile more on, but I'm just giving you a heads up, just so you're not surprised when you open my email tomorrow morning. But I know you
Understood.
have to communicate with your clients, and
Yes.
I'm respectful of that, but I mailed it out almost 2 months ago, and I haven't heard anything yet, so.
Understood. I will look for that email tomorrow.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Next item is discussion and possible action regarding the progress on the Jefferson County Comprehensive Plan. Ted and I attended a meeting a couple weeks ago. They're working on their 2020 comprehensive plan in Jefferson County, and they're getting input from all the towns, villages, and cities. And we were over there for a couple hours, I guess, giving them our input. Basically, we spent most of our time on land use when we were there. So that isn't the end of that process. I'm sure we'll be having more meetings on that.
They're giving to our steering committee, they're giving us a summary report of all of those
Yeah.
meetings on October 1st in the afternoon, a couple hours. And I'll be at that meeting and stuff. I think a lot of what we dealt with was our property available for development.
Yeah.
And land that they've put in ag preservation that's in our urban service area. And, how do we, to get this out is an act of Congress. Well, why did it go in there in the first place? It should have never gone in the first place. And then we have some unique needs, being the kind of community we are, with a lake community and, very vibrant town, and, we don't fit the pattern of what their plan is. Their plan is, well, you let the village grow. Well, our village is in Dane County and wants to grow west, and we want to develop here where we are in Jefferson. So we spent a great deal of time making that point along with them, that, we're not typical, we're different, and we need some consideration. So, but
Well, you can maybe update us next meeting on
yeah.
all the steering committee, because Ted is on the steering committee at the county, so. Okay, any questions on that? If not, we'll move on to discussion and possible action regarding the employee handbook. Joy got a email out with her recommended changes. There are quite a few. And instead of spending a good deal of time here discussing those changes, I think what I'd rather do is have a closed session, a meeting where we can get into some of the details, whether we want to do that during the budget process or right after the budget process. We can kind of decide it. I think we got 2 new people in the office for budget process. We probably would be best to wait until we got our budgeting done, and then we'll have a closed session maybe in November or something to address the changes that we want to put in the employee handbook. But Joy, I commend you for the job you did on that.
Yeah,
You did
thanks,
a great
Joy.
job on that.
Well, and there's a lot of, like Chris said, the handwritten notes on what was in the board packet should be added to that as well.
Just to clarify, I looked in here, the stuff that's darker that's in black, that's my handwriting, and the stuff that's lighter is Susan's.
Okay.
I press very hard when I write, so that's, if you wonder who wrote what, that's how you can tell, or who crossed out what or whatever.
Okay.
Chris, I did want to, somewhere in this was this uniform allowance thing.
Yeah, that needed to
And,
be changed.
Yeah.
Did you ever find, I told you I thought it was December of 16?
I didn't, I believe you, but I wasn't able to find it.
Okay.
But I remember looking at that too.
Does
we don't
does
have a
anybody,
clothing
at one
allowance.
point, when we were doing the budget, and I thought it was for fiscal year 17, Veronica said that we should take away the
Individual.
individual uniform allowance for the police department and have Bruce administer a program, and he would be responsible for it.
Right, I
And
remember
does
that.
any,
And he
okay.
confirmed that with me too. He remembers that too. I wasn't able to
Yeah,
find where it is.
that's,
so.
I thought it was the 16 hearings or process for 2017,
17.
but it could have been 17.
It could have
for
been
18.
17 for 18. I
Yeah.
think this is the second hearing. it's been-
But that's,
Okay.
so, just,
I'll keep an eye out for that then. I'll look
Okay.
a little bit in that year then too.
it would have been in the budgetary process,
Okay.
so, okay.
Okay, before we go into closed session, let's approve the disbursements, and then Gary can hit the road.
I'll make a motion that we approve the disbursements, beginning with, let's see, does it have a check number on it?
No.
Let's see one.
Beginning with the Airgas USA LLC payment through and including electronic funds transfer 92751-165 in the aggregate amount of $98,693.14.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve disbursements in the amount of $98,693.14. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Jeff, you have an update for us?
I do. Thank you for your patience. The acreage in the town of Oakland, first of all, the acreage is almost evenly split in the primary site that we've proposed. So town of Oakland has about 570 or so acres, and town of Jefferson has a little bit more than that. On a per megawatt basis, which is how shared revenue is done, it's about 49.5% town of Oakland and 50.5% in the town of Jefferson. So very, very close to evenly
Close to
split.
half and half. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you,
Great,
Jeff.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Did you have, we got another visitor here. Do you have something you want to, okay, just observing? Okay. Well, thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, I'll take a voice